Hey guys, I think I have something here that will interest those of you that like to either leverage trade or do spot trading on tokens that are, have a lot of momentum to them at the time. I mentioned this just the other day that when you see a token on here that's up 30%, I've got these alerts here. I'll show you here real quick. I've got these alerts set up to where, where's it at? Here we go. Okay, so it says send me a Discord alert as soon as the price of any token goes up by 30% within the last 24 hours on Binance Futures. So we're going to get the soonest alert we possibly can to tell us that there's a lot of volume coming into this token. Now, it doesn't mean that it has to keep going from that point. So just be careful. If it looks like there's a resistance area coming up, then we probably don't want to mess with it. But I have a theory here that could help you make some money. We need to continue to test it, and maybe you can help me to test it by either trading these or just paper trading them. When we talk about paper trading, that means you're just fake trading. You're pretending that you took a position and then seeing how it played out, so that you don't have to risk any money. So here we've got the ape. I mean, number one, there's an engineering robo AI strategy that we use. If anything's gone up over 100% in the last 24 hours, we consider taking a short on the 5-minute chart, but there has to be certain conditions met. Watch the previous video that I did today if you want to see. Right at the end of the video, I talk about that. And I think there's another video I've done, if any of you want it, that I showed one that, how to exactly play it in real time. But so you've got two different views here where you've got one that went up 30%. It really hasn't made much of a move yet. And you got one that went up 152%, which did it give us first a 30%? I don't think. Yeah, there it is right there. So see how the ape yesterday at 11:09 gave us a 30% alert. So I'm really curious. So yesterday at 11:09, I'm just going to look at the XLM chart because this is my theory. It seems like all alts move up together, right? Or if Bitcoin gives them the opportunity to move, Bitcoin's not going down. Maybe it's just going sideways or up a little bit. We just don't want, the things we don't want is Bitcoin to skyrocket because that bleeds alts, and we don't want Bitcoin to dump. If it's going mostly sideways, I think usually that's fine. Or if it's just going up a little bit, that's fine. So here's the theory. We're going to look yesterday at 11:09. Number one, we're going to look at the Bitcoin chart. Yesterday at 11:09. What was yesterday? 14. Right here. So look at that. Bitcoin had a pretty nice move up to 113K. So from 11 to the lower high was put in 3 a.m. today. Give me 1 second. I just want to look at this. 11 to 3 a.m. Here is 11. And that's pretty much, I mean, it was mostly going sideways at the time, but that's pretty much when it really got going. And it had a huge pump. And there's 3 a.m. right there. It had a dip right at 3 a.m. along with Bitcoin. It's still moving up. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin, even though Bitcoin's going down, it really hasn't had a dump or anything like that. Although we are looking at a head and shoulders here. So, just really quickly, if we were talking about a head and shoulders move, what the extension might look like, it's right around, I don't know, 100 to 104K. We'll just call it that. So that's what I would expect Bitcoin to do. In fact, for fun, let's do this. Let's set an alert, and I'll let y'all know if that alert hits. So Bitcoin head and shoulders target hit is at the bottom. I'll let you know when that hits. You're getting a lot of people saying that the Bitcoin runs over and that's it. And, that's just the way it is. Sometimes they do that, but they don't really know for sure. So when this thing falls through and hits that number, you're going to see even more people saying that's it. But I think that we're going to see an alt bounce at that point. So anyway, I didn't mean to get on that tangent, but I think that's really interesting, right? As long as Bitcoin is, even if Bitcoin's just going up a little bit or going down a little bit, it gives all of these tokens that are showing up here. I mean, look at this. You got your alert, 30%. And then shortly after that, we got that alert right here. Shortly after that, bam, Engineering Robo even gave a buy signal on the hourly. Currently, I'm looking for a short on this one, but it could go up higher. So on the short, you want to look at 5-minute chart, though. I'm just looking at this one to look at timing. Currently, this one's still bullish. So, I mean, the other thing is XLM. You know, I've been watching XLM really closely. Here is 11 o'clock, right about in here somewhere. Tops out here. And now we're back down to here. And I think it's going to push up one more time and then come down to 30 cents. So as these things happen, you know, as this push happens right here, you're probably going to see this token that I'm watching, TA, it's probably going to push up again. But as soon as this happens on a lower high with XLM, that's probably when Bitcoin's going to be pushing down through this area and starting to push down to that 104K area. What would that look like here? Could even dip to 102, looks like. I mean, it's possible it even sweeps this and hits 98K or something. So let's see, what was I talking about here? So TA, yeah, so I think, you know, these alerts can be very helpful, especially when things really start pumping. So, you know, from an XLM perspective, what I'm thinking is going to happen anyway is something like this. And sure, it could sweep just a little bit lower to take people by surprise and get them real bearish. But then you have a push above and then a rejection. I don't know where it would come down here, somewhere here maybe. And then the real move happens after that. I don't know how high it goes on that first impulse. You know, eventually it will come back down and retest. Could be some choppiness because it's going to be a pretty big move to start with. But, you know, we got much bigger moves to come. I'm hopeful. But you can see here why I think that. Because so far, all of this has played out exactly like the 2017 cycle did. You can see why I'm thinking it could push up like here, create a higher low there, and then have some temporary, I call it temporary. This would probably take a couple of weeks, though I think. Might take 3 or 4 weeks, actually. And then you get another big move. I mean, I'm assuming that this is right. But if this is all correct, then yeah, we do push into 2026 for sure. But we'll just have to see. I mean, if Bitcoin dominance starts dropping like a rock, then all of this stuff can happen much more quickly. We'll just have to see how it plays out. You know, if we'll have to see if this ends up being about the same timing that happened in 2017, if it takes a few weeks. Of course, back here, it only took a few days actually, but you know, this is taking longer than this did back in 2017. So it's extended. And that makes sense, kind of. I mean, the US dollar is trying to hang on as long as it can. They've got a lot of things they have to do to bring in the new system. You know, it has to be a controlled demolition. It can't just be all of a sudden. Anyway, didn't mean to get into all that. The point being is keep an eye on this. Even if you don't commit money to it, like go back and look at these that are 30% up and see if they've got similar, you know, similar structures. See if they haven't moved yet. Like, let's just take one, for example. Let's look at maybe Euler. Well, what's one that hasn't moved that did a 30% verify? We can look at VFY, and we can look at maybe Dago. And I look at the perpetual contract. The VFY. So what does this look like compared? Let's put it on the hourly chart. What does this look like compared to what we were just looking at on TA? We can open up another chart here and just see if there's any similarities. Now, these are all probably in different areas within their cycle, but You know, sometimes you will, let's see. This one just kept going down instead of up, which means it could have a little bit better move in it. But you know, this one looks like it could do this first, right? Maybe down to here and then up, possibly. Just looking at that, but it doesn't have to. I mean, this is a difficult chart to determine because it's going down while this one's going up, so the trajectory is a little bit different. But you have this and you have that. Yeah, I can't really tell. I can't tell if this is this or if that is somewhere in here. So either it's almost ready to go. If it does make the same move, I would say in a situation like this, typically you could draw some kind of trend line. But this trend line's kind of crazy. It would be this. Yeah, it's pretty close to looking the same. So this one could still dip down, I think. But this is one way to look at it, you know, to study charts. It doesn't mean it always has to play out the exact same way, but if you see one show up like that, which we looked at VFY, we can also look at Dago. And this one has more of an uptrend. Anyway, this is the way that I break things down, you know, kind of looking at things like this. Yeah, this one could still come down and make a double bottom possibly. But anyway, I find this really interesting. You know, this one does seem, oh, this is the TA one, never mind. I thought I saw volatility, but that's this one. Yeah. So anyway, hopefully this makes sense to you. I know I jumped around a lot talking about the market, things like that. But I understand that this channel will show you when Binance lists certain tokens. And sometimes they just dump after they do. Just see really quick what this one's showing. Yeah, see that one dumped as soon as it listed. So just be careful with things like that. It may recover, just be careful with listings. But yeah, check this out. You know, again, the ape token showed up yesterday and pumped today. Doesn't mean it's always going to happen like that. You know, check the market first and see if Bitcoin's dumping or if, you know, whatever it's doing. As long as it's not dumping, as long as it's not pumping really hard, then these tokens can move. So on any bounces, or if you see Bitcoin getting near a support level that it's holding, or if you see it getting near a resistance level, like this would have been a resistance level right here that it rejected from, start looking for shorts here, start looking for longs at support. And if you see tokens showing up in the alerts, then you probably want to look at those. You know, if it's gone up a lot and it looks like Bitcoin's about to fall, then start looking for a short. If Bitcoin looks like it's finding support or near a support, then look for ones that have gone up 30% and try to get in early. If you're using Engineering Robo, it's very helpful because it will tell you when to buy and it'll tell you when to sell here as well, even on a low time frame. So you can see here, even as low as 5 minutes, I'm going to show you. It'll pop up here. So as low as 5 minutes, it'll show a green. I think the cloud stayed green. Yeah, so look how the cloud stayed green. So really, you wouldn't even have to sell until it turned red if you wanted to use that strategy. Or you just sell when it says to sell and you buy back, either way. But even spot, you would have made a really good profit here already. You would have made a 2x play over 1 day. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Any questions, let me know. I'll go over more of it in the future. But let's keep an eye on this strategy because I think it can help both leverage and spot players as this market starts to push up, as alts start to push up. You can really find the ones that are ready to move. Maybe you just make a quick profit and then you move to something else. You know, it could be a good strategy for you. But just be careful with it with leverage.